Wake up, guys. You're behind the scenes with Next Level Fishing TV. Don't you go anywhere, because up next, it's review time. Predator PDL review time coming up. Before we get into it, guys, I want to remind y'all that there is no such thing as a perfect kayak. But the Predator PDL gets pretty darn close. And we've entered an era in kayak fishing where a high price tag is okay as long as we get everything we need. So let's begin this review exactly there. What do we get with the Predator PDL straight out the box? Beginning at the bow of the kayak, and one of the first things that stood out to me when looking at this was the molded handle, which we are beginning to see quite a bit of in the industry. And one of those reasons why we are seeing this quite a bit is because it has proven to be the most durable of handle designs. Life is good. No ripping of cords, no pad eyes ripping out of your rotor mold. Whether you need to grab it with two, you can center up with it. The case in point, this will not fail on you to where you have to replace parts. Old Town Kayak continues to impress in this aspect right here. Moving further up, the hatch. Let's see what she's got under the hood. One of the better, if not the best in the industry in regards to hatch design is the click seal. And is perhaps one of the most important accessories for a dry kayak. Being that I mainly offshore kayak fish, I can be a little bit of a stiffler on hatch design. I'm super big on safety, especially when it comes down to features. And, hatch design in the industry has sort of lacked, but Old Town continues to make, in my opinion, one of the better hatches, if not the best in the industry. The click seal is just a proven design. For those of you guys who don't know, Old Town and Ocean Kayak are basically sister companies, so they all have the same hatch design. If you see any other kayak between Old Town and the Ocean series. So you basically get a double seal. This first seal right here sort of acts like it flushes right up against right here, but they've doubled down and they've also added this little rubber area right here, which comes on this side. So what does that do? Well, whenever you have water that's crashing over the bow here, it ensures that whenever there's water thrashing, it's going to come up underneath here. One of your biggest concerns is water can come up and sneak into the hole. Well, this seal right here, this outer seal right here helps that issue. And let me tell you guys, this thing, it's very hard for it to take water unless you do one thing wrong. Which and I wouldn't say it's wrong, but just a little FYI. If you guys do not like to put holes in kayaks and you would rather run some lines, and I see this more and more, I'm guilty of it too, to where, you know what, I don't want to put a hole in my kayak. I'd rather just run my few electronic lines right here, have my battery. Okay, great, good. But I just want to let you guys know, running lines here does jeopardize this design, and you will get water if you turtle. What I mean by that is if you flip, and it's not like huge amounts, but there is a little bit of water that will seep in there, and that goes the same for if you're crashing and breaking through the breakers. If you're an offshore guy, you may get a little bit of spillover into this, but not enough to where you're going to be having to bilge pump. It still works great. Just want to make sure that you are aware of that when you're running wires and you're trying to not drill. You also have an area here for your battery. It comes with the kayak. I know exactly what you're thinking. How in the world did we just stay 2 minutes on a hatch? I'm sorry. Moving on towards the cockpit. The Predator PDL has two very nicely placed bracket plates here. Now pay no attention to this. This does not come with it. These are the Roadblazer expanded tracks that I have installed. If you'd like a little bit more information on those, you can visit ack.com. But at any rate, you are more than welcome to use whatever accessories you are comfortable with, and you can utilize this mounting plate for whatever. If you're like me and you want to put a camera boom, I put my Roadblazer stuff right here, and that is basically all that does. Towards the middle here, This is where your transducer is going to feed down into. These knobs right here are your locking mechanisms. So your drive will sit right in here, and you get 2 locking points, which will ensure that the drive is locked in place. And let's go get that drive. I have fit the drive in there, and it fits right here nicely in that sleeve. You simply lock it on both sides. I'm just gonna do it halfway. And this is your PDL drive. Fact check me if you'd like, but the Predator PDL, actually I take that back, the PDL drive in general across their entire lineup is the only drive in the industry that has a 4-year warranty. And I've also heard through the grapevine that it actually took these guys 3 years to develop this. This is a true testament to developing something that's got great engineering, and it's paying off. What other company is raising up their warranty limits just sporadically? And one of the worst things that can happen to an angler while you're pedaling around and driving and fighting a fish is if that fish comes up underneath and your line gets tangled in your prop, or it snags on something and you lose that fish. That is that is just a gut check. And I love the flexibility with it being spring loaded right here. You can very quickly reach down, unlock it, or just sort of halfway do it if you know you're in sort of a shallow area where you want quick, easy access. Pull that tension on your rod, and while you're bringing it in, quickly give it a flip, and you're just right back on with 2 hands on that rod. On both sides of this kayak, you're going to get these really thick plates. They are almost like starboard thickness, you know. And the thickness of that board really ensures that you can feel super comfortable with your accessories mounted to this kayak. I've done so with the tracks, and then on top of the tracks I've got all my star ports and what have you, so I can sort of interchange stuff, whether it be GoPro, rod holders. I can take them in and out depending on if I'm going inshore or offshore. Camera booms, as you can see. So plenty of cockpit space, very big scuppers, which moves me to my next point. The scupper hole plugs are genius on this thing. They look very different. You'll notice they have a little kind of like a seal right here, and almost like a push nozzle that allows one-way direction water. So when you put this in your kayak, and obviously it comes with everything already, this is a one-way scupper. So when water gets in, it still flushes out, but does not allow water to come back in. That being said, if you're in an extreme area like offshore and you're busting through surf, I still recommend not having these. You want 100% water flow out if you're going to be in those kind of conditions. So this is great for inshore, but just don't rely on this for offshore. Just my recommendation. And now for the biggest question of all, most kayak anglers are always curious about this. What kind of seat am I going to be putting on my moneymaker?
What's this, Dad? For me?
I think that many will be happy to know that the functionality of the seat is pretty simple. Pull to release. If a kid can do it, I think we can all do it. Plenty of space, plenty of accessories, extra clips to keep that seat from buckling. It is quite simply a super comfortable seat, as you would expect from a high-dollar kayak. And before I forget, this kayak is also equipped with a paddle holder and an additional bungee just right above that location for any type of push poles or any other type of accessory that you would like to bungee in. Finally, towards the back of the kayak, you get a big area for crate wheels. Heck, you could probably store 3. And the same mounting abilities you have in the main cockpit carry over towards the rear. So additional installations of rod holders, etc. can be installed. Now, of course, in any high-dollar kayak these days, you do expect it to come with everything. Yes, that means it comes with a rudder, ladies and gentlemen. And this rudder is absolutely fantastic. To your right, you get a simple lever, front and back. To your left, your control options. You can steer left or right. And with the newly upgraded steering handle, you really don't have any issues locking this into place. So now you're going to say, okay, Chris, we get it. This is a great kayak. What about the things that we need to know that could be concerning? Here's my take on that. If you are a saltwater fisherman, I do think there's a couple things you need to be concerned about. Understand the vegetation. Do you have a lot of mud around you? Are you fishing in 3 foot of water or more? You know, unfortunately, the only issue with prop drives is, yes, you can get these tangled in grass. You can get them all slushed up in mud. It can be sort of a nuisance. Weight is concerning on this kayak. This is one of the heaviest kayaks on the market, but don't let that fool you of its performance on the water. But you still need to be concerned about it. If you have a bad back, bad shoulders, the list goes on and on. Just be prepared. I think this kayak is suitable to load up on the back of your tailgate. A trailer is even more of a bonus, but if you're going to be throwing this kayak on top of your truck on some racks, you better make sure you have some help. Will this kayak perform well offshore? The answer to that is yes and no. It just really depends on your territory. I've seen guys take this thing out in Florida and it performs phenomenal. Here in Texas, I have taken it through some surf. We have a completely different setup on the way our wave sets come in, and I just wouldn't push it anywhere past 3 foot surf. But that's not to be confused with the swells. Once you get past the surf, this thing can handle swells very, very nicely. Even though you're sitting in the high position on this kayak, the stability on this kayak is great. And going back to territory, you know, just like Texas, if you go into even more chaotic situations, such as New Zealand, Australia, where you're battling 6 foot, 7 foot swells, this just isn't a kayak that is designed to punch through surf like that. So understand where you're at. Understand what this kayak can and can't do. It's not a kayak you're going to be able to surf forward off of big wave sets. Maybe something small like 1 or 2 footers, but outside of that, you are just putting stress on its design. So be smart, know where you're fishing, know your conditions, and by all means, know your limits. If you enjoyed everything you saw today, hit the thumbs up button, share, like, subscribe. You guys know the drill.